Don't pick your fingers.
Okay.
Good afternoon, y'all. It's Ned.
And this is Michelle.
And we are MyPhilippinedreams.com. In the second part of our hard-hitting series on questions from Michelle, we're going to be asking, has Ned had balut? What are some of the biggest challenges in having a Kano boyfriend? Questions on cockfighting, and the most important one, who's more famous, Imelda Marcos or Manny Pacquiao? But first up is a question from August O'Shea. And August O'Shea asks, Michelle, what's the biggest challenge of having a Kano boyfriend?
My challenges with Ned is the difference in culture, and yeah, the difference in culture. It's just there's a really huge difference, and it's sometimes crazy, living with someone whose beliefs different from yours. I'm used to this, he's not used to that. We sometimes just clash.
Clash.
Second, the stigma of what other people think about me, because I'm living with an American, with an expat, and most people here thinks that I am just after him because of the money, for the money.
There is no money.
Yeah, there's no money actually.
All right, so there's two things. There's the stigma attached because people think you're trying to hustle the Kano out of his money, or you're just latching on to them for the money. Mm-hmm. And you brought up, and I didn't think of it that way, but the cultural differences between East and West, and like for example, Americans or Westerners are more direct when we're communicating. Like if there's an issue, if there's a problem, we want to talk about it. Whereas Michelle is more...
Goes tampo.
Well, not tampo, but you just don't want confrontation. You don't want to address things directly. You'd rather do them circumspectly and stuff. Okay, so that's cool. Biggest challenges of having a Kano boyfriend. Thank you, August, and thank you, Michelle. Our next question comes from a Mr. Kevin Mount, and he's asking, what's up with the age difference thing in the Philippines?
It is more common between Filipinas and expats. And it is, from what I can see, it's more acceptable sometimes, but there are still some people who would bash, and like what I've said, there's a stigma attached to Filipina having a relationship with an older guy, older white or expat guy. But it's more acceptable rather than a Filipina with a Filipino. But in my case, my father is 16 years older than my mom, and my grandfather was I think 20 years older than my step-grandma. Ooh. So age difference is not really a big issue to me. I actually like older men. They're more matured.
Yeah?
Are you really matured?
No, I'm not really mature. I mean, there's a 19-year age difference between Michelle and I, and it works out, though, because I'm rather immature for my age, and she's rather mature for her age, so we kind of meet in the middle. All right, so yeah, you do see it a lot. Sometimes it's pretty extreme. Sometimes it can be like 40, 50 years. It's more common with expat Filipina couples than the mainstream Filipino society. Thank you, Kevin Mount, and we're moving on to... That's called an NCX exhaust, by the way. It sounds like a chainsaw on the scooters. MKS Rookies, and Mr. Rookies has a series of questions. The first one is, what's up with Ned and balut? And for those who don't know, balut is fertilized duck egg, where you can actually see like the feathers and the eyeballs and the beak.
I asked him to eat once or twice when we were at the boulevard with my brother. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't. And I can't force him to do so because I myself don't eat balot.
Yes.
I don't eat balot. So I don't think we will be eating balot sometime.
Well, you can never say never. I mean, if I get enough red horse in me some night, I could be, sucking down the fertilized duck eggs. You never know. But yeah, when I bite into something and there's eyeballs staring back at me, I'm just not too crazy about that idea. But well, I'm sure I'll do it at some point. Yeah. All right, and his next question is MKS Rookies asks, what's up with the cockfighting, the rooster auditoriums, gladiatoriums?
It has been running since from time I can remember. Especially in the provinces, it is really common and it's some people's favorite pastime. They gamble what little money they have left to feed for their family, which I don't really think is okay. They should feed the family first rather than spend it on the cocks. I mean the roosters. So I hope they would change a little about that.
Yeah, well, it's been part of Filipino culture for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Usually, like, when you go to, like, the provinces, the nicest buildings in town are, like, the church, but even nicer than that is usually what they call the cockpit. It's where the roosters have the little gladiator contests.
Every town have that, I guess.
Like, you go down to
Almost every
Darwin.
town.
Darwin's not really like a build-up industrial area or anything. It's just this tiny little village town, and they have this huge cockpit. Massive. It's very popular here. And the guys baby their roosters and they carry them around. They bring them for walks in the morning.
It's their pets. You can't touch them.
Okay.
Or yes, it's like their dog.
Yes, with feathers. MKS Rookies also asks, who's more famous, Imelda Marcos or Manny Pacquiao?
Remember Marcos outdated. Manny Pacquiao, yeah. Even the kids knows him. Small kids.
From General Santos City, right? Down in Mindanao?
Down in Mindanao.
So he's a homeboy of yours. He lives just down the street. Okay, so Manny Pacquiao is more famous. And Pancit Canton, he asks, can you make me Pancit Canton, Michelle?
Yeah, sure. I haven't made it a pancit canton yet, but I'm willing to learn.
With the chicken necks?
Yeah.
With the chicken necks or without the chicken necks? It's not real unless you get the chicken necks. But the chicken necks are disgusting. Actually, Michelle's going to be making Big Coal Express for the first time today, this afternoon. We should film that. Hope that comes out good. All right. So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Rookies, and thank you, Michelle. Our next question comes from 377499, and Mr. 499 asks, do you want to move to the U.S. to make more money to send to your family?
The answer is no. If I can make a living here, a good salary, then why move to the U.S.? I mean, I don't think I'm ready for a change in culture and living in a society in which culture is very different from yours. It's kind of hard, and I don't think I am adventurous enough to move there yet.
All right. Plus, like we noted in the first part of the series, she's kind of intimidated by the idea of 300 million Neds running around. All right, our final series of questions. How much time we got here? Okay, we're doing good. Mr. Big Tombowski asks, what made you move to Dumaguete?
What made me move to Dumaguete is this. The main reason is this guy.
Yeah.
This guy actually. He wants to live here. He wants to live here, and so I'm moving here with him. But before I even met him, I already decided that I don't want to live in Pagadian City. Just being in a political family for decades, it's kind of when it comes, especially when the election comes. It's just kind of difficult for me to move around, and it's always the risk of being killed. It's just I live in fears during May or during the elections, and I don't want to live like that forever or every elections. I want to be free, and also there's expectations with regard to me, and I don't want to live with that. I want to be where people don't recognize me or my family they don't always have to attach that, hey, you're like this, and so you're supposed to be like this and that. I hate that. I just want to be in a new place.
Okay, so start anew, start afresh. All right, so the reason you moved to Dumaguete was, more job opportunities here.
Yes,
as opposed
and
to,
also more job opportunities since there's not much job opportunities back in Pagadian.
well, you could work in the dried fish market. They're very famous for the dried fish. And also, you come from a politically connected family, so when the elections came around, it could get ugly. Politics in the Philippines is incredibly violent. The
Killings.
Filipinos have this the stereotype of they're so nice and polite and everything, but once the elections come up, matter of fact, they make everybody turn their guns in, right, during the elections. Yeah, they come around and say, dude, you guys turn your guns in because the elections are coming up. And aspiring politicians get shot and killed all the time. And yeah, so, all right. So again, that's another series of questions answered by Michelle. We got some more questions, and we're going to be revisiting this later on in the week. I think tomorrow, though, we're going to Mine and Assault for some paid show. So you can look forward to that. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for all their questions, and I'd like to thank Michelle for taking the time to answer the questions. This is Ned.
And this is Michelle.
And we'll see you next time on myphilippinedreams.com.